अनंत संसार समुद्रतारा नौकायिताभ्यां गुरुभक्तिदाभ्यां वैराग्य साम्राज्यदपूजनाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम्। नमस्ते, स्वागतं प्रियच्छात्राः। संस्कृतनन्दिनी एषा। अधुना सेतुपाठः यावत् शक्ति चर्च्यते। सेतुपाठे प्रथमः अंशः अस्ति नामपदरूपाणि, पश्चाच्च अव्ययानि, तदनु क्रियापदरूपाणि च पश्यामः। आदौ नामपदं। नामपदं नाम किम्? नामपदं किं नाम? What does it mean? Namapada is a classification of a pada. Pada is a word in Sanskritam which will encompass. What will it encompass? First of all, it encompasses subanta. Subantas are those which end with the sub pratyayas. What is this sub pratyaya? Again, we shall see in the coming slides. And it also encompasses the avyayani. Okay, and these subantas are again classified into many. Rudhanama, which means the name of a person, place, animal, thing. The game that we used to play, that is called the rudha. Then we have the visheshanani, the adjectives and qualifiers, and so on. So there are, this namapada is every other word but the kriyapada. So whatever words are there in Sanskritam other than the verbs, other than the kriyapada, all of them are dumped into the title of namapada, the heading of namapada. Okay. Now in this series we shall see how some general namapadas evolve. That is, the stereotyped Ramaha Ramo Ramaha, we are doing the same thing, but now with another layer of logic and simplicity through it, and another layer of explanation to it. That's it. Why is this useful? Because in a sentence there are many namapadas and probably one or at most two kriyapadas. So in a sentence, the majority of the words, the padas, are namapada. And in Sanskritam, since it does not have any gadya krama, which means it does not have any prose order, like the subject, object, verb, you can rearrange the verbs, you can rearrange the words in any way. Therefore, the need for having a particular case attached to the same word arises. So one word, the pada, which is actually a subanta, which means it ends with the supratyaya, and this supratyaya actually denotes the vibhakti and vachana and sometimes also the linga. Okay, that way we'll come to know what the gender of the given word is, what the vibhakti is, that is, which case does it belong to, the nominative, the vocative, etc., the locative, all of that. That is those are the cases. Third is, what is its number, what is its cardinality, ekavachana, dvivachana, or bahuvachana. So all of that information is encoded in the supratyayas. Okay, that is what a namapada will do. It first of all conveys the main data, which is the word itself, called the pratipadika, and then it will encode the other parameters that revolve around the pratipadika. That is the function of a namapada. And in Sanskritam, to form a sentence, we should know the correct usage of these vibhakti, vachana, and the lingas. These namapadas, they evolve with for example, let me just show you. They evolve with different cases and vibhakti and vachana. Do you remember the Ramaha Ramo Ramaha? Now I have deliberately chosen another word because Rama is not everything in itself. Rama is just a model. So if you're sick of Rama, you can take Krishna, you can take Shiva, you can take Hara and any Devata. But if you are an atheist, you can come back always to a Bala, Balo, Balaha. So all of these are just models. So this is just to show you that the Pradipadika being Bala here. Now what is the Pradipadika? I'll tell you in a moment. This Bala will evolve in the different Vibhaktis as well as against different Vachanas. And this has a particular Anta, it has a particular Linga. Okay, these are the parameters for, these are the characteristics of a Pratipadika. Now, the Namapadas, so in these series, we'll create small videos where you can go through each of these antas. What are these? These are endings, the Subantas, in some detail and try to memorize them. In Sanskritam, to use a particular vibhakti, once you know when to use a particular vibhakti, let's say the fourth vibhakti, you wish to use the fourth vibhakti here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. You wish to use the fourth vibhakti and you wish to use the dvivachana form. And you want to use the pratipadika of Bala. Then you should know which linga it belongs to and quickly you can decipher which anta it is. And finally, you should know what is the fourth case dual form of it. You can't say Bala and you can't just put into Chaturthi into Dvivachana. That doesn't work. It is not an algebraic method of denoting the words. You have separate forms for each cases and vachanas. So to remember those forms itself is a huge task. It's an ordeal in itself. Therefore, and we have so many words to come. Always give some amount of work to your memory also. So this series we shall concentrate more on the memory part than the logic and the derivation part. However, where it has a simple derivation or it has a simple explanation, I'll try to do that. Otherwise, the majority work is on the memory, is for the memory. And that is inevitable in Sanskritam. You would not only have to remember such forms, but always there are hints and tricks to remember them. But also that you will come across so many forms which differ from each other, mainly because the subantas are not avyayani. These are suffixes which are added to each of these pratipadikas and they modify the pratipadika in a different way each time. Hence the uniqueness of each pratipadika. Although it is not 100% unique, there are some similarities and commonalities between the coming words, but for a word to form in a particular vibhakti and vachana and belonging to a certain linga will require some amount of memory to remember its form, and you have to use that form itself. In the other languages, we would use some pronouns, helping verbs, all of that, or conjunctions also maybe sometimes. We use them in the vernacular, the Indian languages, we have different suffixes, galu, ganu, annu, etc. If you just add these suffixes, you get the particular vibhakti and the vachana form. But that is not so in case of Sanskritam, being a very old language. The rishis of that time had thought a different system. So it has evolved from that system. So with this introduction, let me just go through these slides of it, the Namapadas. First of all, there are many hints and tricks for you to remember the Namapadas, okay? There are 7 vibhaktis, sapta vibhaktayah santi, trini vachanani santi. There are 3 numbers, ekavachana, dvivachana and bahuvachana. Now these vachanani represent the number of objects present in that of that pratipadika. So ekavachana would denote just one of its kind, one number. There's only one of that object of that pratipadika. Dvivachana would represent two. Bahuvachana would represent three or more. But people for fractions, for negative numbers, would generally fall back on the ekavachana itself. Now, like I said, there are 7 vibhakti, sapta vibhaktayaha, and they are named by their ordinality, like prathama meaning the first case, second case, dvitiya vibhakti, third case, tritiya vibhakti, chaturthi, panchami, shashti, saptami. And one more thing that I want to point out here is that, let me just come back to that slide. You see here, in these are the 7 vibhaktis. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, what are these vibhaktis? What do you mean by a vibhakti? See, a vibhakti is the equivalent of an English case where it denotes how the pratipadika, here the case is bala, how this bala relates to the sentence. When you say, call that boy is bala, so call that boy. So what do you want to say there? You want to use the objectness, right, for that boy. You're not objectifying him. You are that the word bala itself has become the object of the sentence. You call that boy. The boy has become the object. So the word boy relates to the sentence as being an object of the verb call. In that sense, it is called the vibhakti. Okay. So it is dedicated to the sentence bhakti. It is dedicated and devoted to the sentence through a special meaning, visheshena. You can understand it in that way. It has a special meaning attached to it, which says how this word, the pratipadika bala, is related to the rest of the sentence. That is called the vibhakti. But in this series, we shall not see what is the actual meaning of the vibhakti itself. Like I said, the coming series is just dedicated to memory. Okay, you have to always commit all of these to memory. In the coming playlist, where probably we will speak of the karaka, in that place we shall see what is the exact meaning of the first case, prathama vibhakti, dvitiya vibhakti. What do they signify themselves? That is what we shall see in the next playlist. But for now, before we even know when to use the vibhakti, we have to know what are their forms. Because just like in our maths classes, what would we do? Before even we knew multiplication, the teacher would have us by heart the tables, right? 1 ones are 1, 1 twos are 2, 2 threes are 6, all of that. So we would first by heart the tables at the beginning of each class before we started doing the multiplication, and we knew the meaning of multiplication. So we would recite it by rote. So by doing that, we are putting all of these forms into our memory. And let me tell you, not to scare you or frighten you away, but there are many words which have a lot of speciality and they are exceptional in nature. But I have chosen only the most general ones which are highly applicable in sentences. And the majority of the Samskrita words, the Nama Padani, can be put under one or more of these words itself. So I have chosen only the most general and most applicable ones. The second thing that I want to say is that you can refer always to the book called the Subanta Shevadhi, which is published by the Samskrita Bharati, a very good dedicated organization for the Prachara of Sanskritam. In that, you will find a lot of special words with explanation and all of that. Just like these tables, you'll find all of these tables there also. And For an online source, you can always visit the most famous ashtadhyayi.com, which has the new Shabda Rashi also. So you select a word and you will get it. This table will show in front of your screen. Now coming back to the Namapadani, the first hint you can take is that the Sambodhana Vibhakti, which is represented in the coming tables as Bo, is almost similar to the Prathama Vibhakti, and it is equal to the Prathama Vibhakti in the Dvi and the Bahuvachana forms. Always means in every case, the Dvitiya and the Dvivachana and the Bahuvachana forms, the dual and the plural forms are the same in the Prathama Vibhakti and the Sambodhana Vibhakti. Then, but in the Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachana, which we shall call as 1.1, okay? We shall refer to this matrix first with the Vibhakti, the row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we'll call this 8, okay? Although it is not the 8th Vibhakti. Now this is called the Sambodhana Vibhakti, which is also a part of the Prathama itself. But we'll just, since it has some different forms at different places, we'll just keep it as a another Vibhakti here. So we'll refer this matrix as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Ekavachana as 1, 2, and 3. So 1.1 would say first row, first column would be this Balaha, okay, like that. So what I mean to say here by the first hint is that the Prathama Vibhakti, Dvivachana and the Bahuvachana, this 1.2 and 1.3, these forms are the same as 8.1 and 8.2 and 8.3 always, okay? So that you can use as a trick. Then the second point is that the Dvivachana is the same in first and the second Vibhakti. Then the third, fourth Vibhakti have the Dvivachana as the same, and sixth and seventh. Let me just come back. You see here 1.2, 2.2. They have the same form. Not just in this case of Bala, but in every case, the Prathama and the Dvitiya Vibhakti Dvivachana 1.2, 2.2 will be the same. And you see here, so 3.2, 4.2 and 5.2 are the same. Then 6.2 and 7.2 are the same. Okay, these two 1.2, 2.2, then 3.2, 4.2, 5.2 are 1. So you can call this X, all of these as Y, and then again Z here. Then the Bahuvachana is the same in the fourth and the fifth Vibhakti for most cases. Generally, the fifth and the sixth Ekavachana will be the same. Okay, let me just take you back again. In this example, let's say the fourth, this is the fourth one. Cha means Chaturthi, means the fourth case. Fourth and the fifth Bahuvachana, that is 4.3 and 5.3 will be the same. Okay, except in the case of this, which we shall see later. You have Balaihi, Balebhya, Balebhya. We will see that later. But the other cases, we see the Chaturthi and the Panchami will have the same. And also the Tritiya Vibhakti Bahuvachana, that is 3.3, also will always end with Bhihi. Bhihi, okay? It always ends with Bhihi. So you can see these pratyayas which are put after a hyphen. Now these are the general pratyayas that are there. So if you know what is the form of 4.3, you'll easily come to know what is 5.3, and you'll easily come to know what is 3.3 also, because if you have to just substitute bhyaha with bhihi. Now that is the same. Now the fifth trick is that the Panchami and the Shashti Ekavachana, which is 5.1 and 6.1, will have the same form throughout the Samskrita Shabdani, Sabshabda, Namapadani, except again the Bala Shabda. Now this Bala Shabda is an exception, we'll just keep it aside. So the fifth and the sixth, point 1 will always have the same form. Next, the first and the second vibhakti in the Napumsaka are same, and they will follow the, from the third vibhakti, it is similar to the Pullinga counterparts. Now this Napumsaka is the neuter gender and Pullinga is the masculine gender, okay? Let's keep that in mind. Napumsaka is different from Pullinga. Pums means man or human. Puman means human. Napumsaka is not the masculine gender literally, but it means the neuter gender. Let's see what this means. I'll just take you to the Napumsaka Linga and I'll show you here. You see, this is the Napumsaka Linga, the neuter gender. Okay, let's take the Pratipadika of Phala. Now this Pratipadika means the root word. The root noun can be called the Pratipadika. But this is not exactly a noun as English defines it as, but we'll just call, for a lack of better word, we'll just call it a root noun. Okay, the Pratipadika. In this which belongs to the Napumsaka Linga, the neuter gender, you see this 1.2, 1.3, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 is the same as 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Do you see that? Yes. So this is not just true for the Phala Shabda, but for every other Napumsaka Linga Shabda, that the Prathama and the Dvitiya Vibhakti, the entire second row will be the same. So they will be replica of each other, okay? So if you know 1.2, you will easily come to know what is 2.2 also, because it is the same thing. And one more thing to note here is that from the Tritiya Vibhakti onwards, that is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth and the seventh, third, fourth, 5, 6 and 7 cases, all of these rows will follow the equivalent of the Pullinga, okay? Although this is called the Napumsaka Linga, we can consider from the Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti and the Saptami to have the same forms as the Pullinga counterpart. That is, now you see the Phala has these criterion. It is an Ajanta, it is an Akaranta, and it is a Napumsaka Linga, and it has these forms. But magically, all of these forms are actually the same, the exact reflections of the Pullinga form, where we saw Bala. You see, here it was Balena, Balabhyam, Balaihi, Balaya, Balabhyam, Balebhya. That's the same thing. And this is not just true for the Ajanta, but also the Halanta. Now again, I just come to these definitions in a moment. First of all, I'm just putting out the tricks for you to know. Okay, you can remember that. And this, what about the 8th case? See, the 8th case, again, we spoke that it is the same as the first case, right? It is the same as the first case in the Dvi and the Bahuvachana. 1.2, 1.3 is the same as 8.2 and 8.3. You see that Phale, Phalani, Phali, Phalani. That's the same thing, except for the Ekavachana form. Now, one more thing here is, in what do you mean by this evam? Evam means you can use this Bala as a model and form similar forms with by using the Pratipadika Hara, Krishna, Shiva, Vriksha, Nara, etc. So evam is like etc. Okay, you can replicate these forms. You can substitute the Bala Shabda with Hara, Krishna, etc. anything else, and you will get still almost the same forms. You'll get the same pratyayas, the same suffixes will be present. That is the essential use of learning these tables. It is not because you want to learn some 10 or 15 words by heart. That is not its purpose. By learning these by heart, you are able to form, you are able to use this model to apply for the hara or whatever akaranta pullinga shabdas are there. All of them will follow the same. That is the essential, the core use of learning these tables. Did you get that? So once you know the Bala Shabda, since it's just an example, it's a model, you can replicate any other Akaranta, Ajanta, Pullinga Shabda by using the same model. That's the power of learning these tables, okay? One more thing that we shall see towards the end is the Shesha. Shesha means the rest. So if I don't want to repeat it again and again, I'll just say Shesha. The rest is like something else. It follows something else. That's it. So you can refer to that. Now these are some of the hints that I can give you. These memory tricks. Then now we are going to define each and every term here. So what is the Ajanta Halanta business? Ajanta means Ach means Swara, right? From the Pratyahara Ach, the Maheshwara Sutra. Again, if you haven't watched that, please do so in the Varna Varnam playlist. We have the Maheshwara Sutrani Pratyahara part. We'll see Ach means the Swara and Hal means the Vyanjana. Okay, that's just a short form to say Swara is Ach, Hal is Vyanjana. So Vyanjananta and Swaranta is nothing but Ajanta and Halanta. Okay, that is called an anta. Anta means that which ends with a swara, ends with a vyanjana. Okay, that is their respective meanings. Now there are trini lingani santi. There are three genders: pullinga, strilinga, and napumsakalinga. As in any other language, we have three genders. Now you have to kanthastheyani etani padani. You should have these. Now the literal meaning is you have to have these in the throat, but it means you have to by heart it. And then etani pratinidhihi iva pravartante tattat vargasya. You have to use these as a model to replicate and to use it for different words which belong to the same category. So the Ajanta Pullinga Akaranta is one category. Okay, so Ajanta Pullinga Akaranta is one category. Under this, you have an example called Bala to demonstrate how it changes. So you can use every other Akaranta, Ajanta Pullinga Akaranta Shabda in place of Bala, using it as a model to understand. That's it. Udaharanani jnatva itarani padani prayoktum shakyani. You should understand these, whatever is given in the evam section, that is the other words which you can practice. Using that, you can form the rest of the forms, that is the 8x3 table. You can form that and you will get familiarized yourself with what these vibhakti vachanas, what are their rupas. Yavat shakyam tavanti vakyani rachaniyani. So as far as possible, whenever you find time, please, it is highly recommended that you practice these forms by rote. Tadaiva samyak bodhaha jayeta. Only then can you get a perfect crystal clear understanding of these words. So what is this Ajanta Shabdaha? The first part of this series will be the Ajanta Shabdaha, means those which end with Swara, vowel endings. In this set, the vowel ending Pratipadika, the forms are slightly different and more complex with exceptions. So we are going to deal with the harder part first itself. So the bad news comes first and finally we get the good news. So the Ajanta Shabdaha are a little more complicated than the Halanta Shabdaha. So that's why we're going to deal with them first, so that the Halanta will seem easier. The Bala Shabda is very unique, but that is itself the most applicable and widely used model in Sanskritam for Akaranta Pullinga Shabdas. We follow the Bala Shabda. And there are many Akaranta Shabdaha, because there are many those pratyas which generate Akaranta are more. So we have more number of words also which end with a. Now these models are to be used just as models. Many more shabdas given in the Evam section must be tried and practiced. Okay, all of those that are declined, all of those are declined in the same way. You can derive them in the same way. Hence, knowing one member, that's the model, makes it extremely useful to know all forms of all such homologous series. Now, this homologous series means that belonging to the same anta and the same linga is called the homologous series. Same anta and the same linga forms the homologous family. Now, by knowing it, by hurting and then not knowing what they represent will be futile, like learning the maths table and not knowing where to use it and what it denotes. So that is one drawback. So you should not stop only with this series. This series is for the memory part. So the next series will be where the use of knowing these tables will be explained, and where exactly use such words like the balabhyam. Where should we use this form balabhyam? You will know that in the next playlist. Until then, you have to keep practicing these forms, and you should be thorough with these. When I ask you the Bala Shabda 4.5, you should quickly be able to tell Balebhyah. You should have that mastery over these words. And the other usage of learning these words is that your memory power increases because you are training your mind to memorize things a lot. Similarly, the biology students would know better that since it has many terms to remember, many species and genus names, etc., their memory power is generally has been enlarged. It has grown a lot because when you are feeding the mind through memory work, you are increasing your memory itself. So learning Sanskritam, not just the entirety of grammar, not just that, but even in the beginning stage when you are starting to learn these words, you are gradually increasing your memory power. Okay, now coming to these definitions of anta. Anta can be two types, swara or vyanjana. No word, that is no pratipadika itself. Be careful, the pratipadika cannot end with the visarga, anuswara, jihvamulya or upadbhaniya or any other yama varna also. So it should either end with the swara or with the vyanjana. Okay, the pada itself can end with the visarga. That's a different thing. I'm saying of the pratipadika, the root noun. Okay, like you say the bala, kapi, matra, all of that will end only with either with a swara or with a vyanjana. Now we have seen the swara means ach and vyanjana is hal. What is this anta mean? It is the antima akshara pratipadika. Antimam aksharam pratipadike. The last letter of the pratipadika is called the anta. So when you have a pratipadika, you split it by doing, you see here, you see this bala here. You do the trota, you split it. Now what is this trota? It means you split the word into its constituent letters. Again, trota has been explained in the Varna series. Check that out, please. So when you split that, the last thing that you get is the anta. So when you split bala, you get b-a-l-a, bala. Now, so a is the anta, is the last letter in bala. Hence, it is called akara anta, akaranta. Akara means the sound a. Akara. It doesn't mean any car. Okay, it is akara, and anta. It ends with a. So the word is called the akaranta. The pratipadika will be called akara anta, akaranta. Similarly with kapi, k-a-p-i, kapi. E is the last word here, last akshara. So it is called ikara anta, ikara anta, ikaranta. Similarly, you can have x-karanta, like the algebra word. X-karanta means the pratipadika ends with the akshara x. And you can put any akshara in place of x, any swara or vyanjana, and it becomes that anta. If you put x as bha, it becomes bhakara anta, which means the pratipadika ends in bha. So x-kara means the letter x. Bhakara means the letter bha, the pure Vyanjana bha. So bhakara anta is ends in that letter X. This is how you split that word. This is the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. Akara anta, akaranta. Okay, now coming back to the definition of Pratipadika. Pratipadika is the root form. You can call it the root noun. When you see the word balaihi, that is the pada. Okay, that is the Samskrita defined pada. But Pratipadika literally means that which comes before the pada. Pratipadika, or that which is the predecessor of a pada. Pratipadika. That is the root noun. Okay, the root noun will be bala. Without the sup or the linga, I mean the vibhakti and the vachana, when you take it away, it becomes the Pratipadika. Similarly, Kapishu is already has been mixed. It is like an ore. It has been mixed with the chemicals of Supratyaya, etc. So when you take that out, all that remains, the pure mineral is Kapi. That is the Pratipadika. Now, what is a Supratyaya? Supratyaha. Now, what does this Subanta mean? Sup antaha Subantaha. Sup is the pratyaya name. Anta means that which ends with Supratyaya. So these are called sup endings. All the nouns are Subantaha. Now this pratyaya set called the sup is used to code first. Sometimes it can also denote the linga, then the vibhakti and the vachana. It always denotes the vibhakti and the vachana, and sometimes can also be used to distinguish the linga. Now what is a vachana, right? Vachana is the number. Now these relate to the karaka vibhakti, that is the cases where Pratipadika, to know how it relates to its own friends. What is its relationship with another Pratipadika is what Karaka Vibhakti says. For knowing when and how to use them. For now, we shall discuss only the various tables and models to be glanced and examined in some detail. The sup endings majorly form all the nouns, and by extrapolation the avyayas and the visheshanas also. So majorly all the nouns, name, place, animal, thing, all of that comes under the sup endings. All of them have the sup endings, and also we can consider the avyayas and the visheshanas to be a part of the sup endings. So the point here is to get familiarized with the forms and linga vibhakti vachana correlations. This is essential as tables is to arithmetic. Once we learn how to use them, when the question of actual use comes, then we will have to look this up. These form the fundamental structure of noun forms. Hence, some effort has to be made in putting this to memory. Some places in this table are shown explicitly to aid memory techniques and as an exercise to do the sandhis. So if you haven't watched the sandhis playlist, do so. We are using very simple sandhis here, like the Jashtva sandhi, Chartva sandhi, Savarna dirgha, Yan. Then we will use the Guna sandhi, Vriddhi sandhi, all of that. So please do that. Watch the sandhi playlist before coming here. In the coming videos, we shall see the snippets of each word, Bala, Kapi, etc. And sometimes I would also replace the Bala Shabda with whatever is given in the Evam section for better understanding. Okay? Dhanyavadaha.